So, hey, good news, folks. Just in time for Christmas, Canada Post operations to resume on Tuesday, company says, according to CP24. So, just in time for you to get that rainbow-colored suspenders, or what else you're getting from Temu or Wish or one of the other companies, because we can't afford, actual real brand names. We're going to go down to, discount cheap knockoffs. But there's a little more to the story that people seem to forgetting. And we talked about this the last time we mentioned about the Canada Post strike. But here's what CP24, this is what their news report said about this. Come on.
Well, the Canada Industrial Relations Board has ordered Canada Post employees to return to work tomorrow morning.
CP24's Beatrice Vaisman is on this story over at the Gateway facility along Dixie Road with more. And Beatrice, we see quite a few people still out on the picket lines this morning.
Several dozen of them, Courtney and Nick, and I had a chance to go over and talk to some of them. They're in good spirits. They're still feeling good about their position when it comes to negotiations to reach a better deal than the one they had under previous contracts. But I'll tell you this, they tell me they have not received any instructions from their chain of command, so their union leaders, as to what is going to happen next. They've not been told to tear down their picket lines. Otherwise, that would have happened already. So is there some kind of negotiations or consultations happening behind the scenes when it comes to the union? In fact, the union has not commented since this ruling by the Labour Board that we really only learned about because of a statement that came out from Canada Post yesterday evening. So again, these workers here behind me.
So it just seems like, and we talked about the last time mentioning Canada Post, is that there's no connection of communication within any of this. Because the company that wants to privatize Canada Post, they're trying to negotiate with the union, but the union's refusing to negotiate with them. That's causing a conflict of interest. And on top of that, the union's not talking to the workers into figuring out what exactly is going behind the scenes. They don't even know about the negotiations. They're dumbfounded. They're trying to figure out how to go on this. And there's many people in the picket line that have been voluntarily delivering postage and letters and kids' letters to Santa voluntarily throughout this strike, because they're realizing that this conflict has not to do with the workers, but to do with the union and the company not communicating with the workers. So there's just a misdirect that's causing this influx, that's causing this chaos. And the people that are getting the brunt of this is the workers that are just trying to get a better deal out of this. They're trying to get, better wages. They're trying to get a more standard of living that, obviously we're seeing a lot with Canadians. We're seeing a lot of companies, and they don't want people to know about this. That's why the media is giving bad rep to this strike, and why so many people have stuck to that media narrative, because they don't want people to realize that, hey, if Canada Post is striking for better wages, then maybe my company that I'm working for, I could do a similar thing. I could put pressure onto my bosses that I know are going to either replace me with a temporary foreign worker or they're going to automate me. So why not put the pressure on them to actually recognize me as an employee and come to some negotiation? And that's why they begin the bad rap. That's why people in the mainstream media have spun in the direction of how kids are not going to get Christmas because of them. That's not the case. They did it intentionally to put the blame on the workers. But the workers are the ones that are cut out of the spotlight. They're the ones that don't have communication to the union, what it seems like.
They're still waiting to hear from their leadership about exactly what the plan is moving forward. Of course, if their leadership says, hey, you're back to work 8 a.m. tomorrow, they'll be back to work 8 a.m. tomorrow. They're feeling, let's say, disrespected by their employer, by the company, Canada Post. One of the workers I was chatting with says there's a lot of signage inside that talks about being respectful and how to deal in good faith, and so they feel as though their company has let them down when it comes to those specific ideas and corporate values that they have on flyers inside this facility, and I imagine many others. But yeah, it was yesterday that Canada Post yesterday evening put out a message saying that the mediator has essentially decided after 2 days of hearings that the two sides were at an impasse, that they were nowhere near reaching a deal right now if they were to continue negotiating prior to the end of the year. And so essentially it's been punted forward until the end of May, Courtney and Nick. That's when this contract has essentially been extended to give the two sides a few more months to continue their negotiations. And until then as well, these workers are going to be getting back pay to the tune of 5%. So about $1,000 for most of them before Christmas, the remainder after the new year, to give them space and time to negotiate. There is a rally 10 o'clock this morning outside of Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland's office over on Bloor, pardon me. And so that's something that we'll obviously see all of these union workers and their leadership at later this morning. Hopefully I'm crossing my fingers. I'm hoping to get an interview with the union president of the...
So good on them for deciding to protest on Chrystia Freeland's grounds, because I think, it just amazes me that so many people want to, bastardize and demonize other workforces. That so many people will demonize Canada Post workers and saying that, oh, well, they deserve what they get. They're lucky they have a job. They're lucky that, their wages are so slimmed down. We should just fire all of them, put in a bunch of temp workers, and try to demonize each other. When really, the whole conflict of interest is the fact that we have a crumbling society. We can't keep our institutions afloat. And it's because of people like Chrystia Freeland that goes and spends $19.5 billion off to Ukraine for useless warfare. That's not an investment to anything here in Canada. It's just going to be a money laundering scheme more to Ukraine. And that money could easily go towards better post offices, better education systems, better healthcare, investing into Canadian policies back here at home. So good on them for actually sticking to the gun and going to the top dog that could have actual influence into better negotiations. But obviously, Chrystia Freeland, now that she's resigned, she's going to step away and go, well, it's not my responsibility. Not my responsibility. So, the article goes on underneath this video here. It says, while mail is set to begin moving again on Tuesday as Canada Post employees return to work, key structural issues at the center of the month-long strike remain outstanding heading into the next phase of negotiations. The federal government pushed to end the work stoppage last week when Labor Minister Steve McKinnon directed the Canadian Industrial Relations Board to order the 55,000 picketing employees back to work within days if it determined a deal isn't doable before the end of the year. Canada Post said Sunday night after 2 days of hearings over the weekend, an impasse was declared by the board. It said union members have been ordered back to work under their existing contracts, which have been extended until May to allow the bargaining process to resume. McKinnon said Friday that negotiations have been going in the wrong direction in the weeks after the strike began on November 15th. McKinnon said he would appoint an industrial inquiry commission to look into the bargaining issues and come up with recommendations by May 15th on how a new agreement can be reached. The inquiry will have a broad scope as it will examine the entire structure of Canada Post, both from a consumer base and a business model standpoint. Considering the challenging business environment now facing Canada Post, he said. In the meantime, Canada Post said it agreed with the union to implement a 5% wage increase retroactive to the day after the collective agreements expired. Key issues in the dispute included the size of wage increases and a push by Canada Post to extend delivery into the weekend. The two sides have been at odds over how to staff the expansion. Business groups have been calling on the government to intervene as companies and individuals scramble to find alternative modes of delivery with the holiday shopping season in full swing. So it's at least a temporary good news. Like, they're getting that wage increase, so that's good on them that they're getting something out of this. It wasn't a complete loss. But as the news report said, as workers are being cut out of the dark when it comes to the negotiation process, nobody knows exactly what's going on. They're at a lockstep right now. They're not negotiating at this point, and they're trying to hold it off till after the Christmas season. So I think that's kind of just going to make things easier for right now. But obviously there's still going to need work to be done. And I bring attention to this because one of the criticisms getting from Canada Post and really towards the workers is the fact that why did they go on strike during Christmas? So take a look at this. This is from More Perfect Union, where Amazon workers in New York City are about to go on strike right before Christmas, the company's busiest time. The first unionized Amazon warehouse is going to shut down in a historic walkout. Workers plan to hit the company where it hurts to win their first union contract. Now, some people look at that and go, well, how selfish of that. How selfish of them to walk out on Christmas when it's their busiest season. Well, if it's their busiest season, that's going to put more leverage on them. If they walk out and there's no one to fulfill the fulfillment center, that's going to put the pressure on the higher ups to go to negotiation, to find a contract, to find some sort of way to get those employees back to work. You want to do it at your busiest time, because if it was the slowest period, then they wouldn't care. They would just send those people home. Oh, we don't need you workers anymore. But if it's the busiest time and they need employees, they need people to fulfill orders and statements and so on and so forth, then this would be the leveraging time for people to protest, for people to strike and come to negotiation, come for a better deal. So they showed this little video here. Let's take a look.
Shop great deals now on Amazon.
Woo! Every package we deliver with pain and suffering.
This is my third holiday I'm giving to Amazon. I haven't been around for Thanksgiving or Christmas.
It's constant speed up for the holidays.
It's like twice as dangerous, I would say, because everyone's moving twice as fast and there's twice as much work.
Every horror story you read about Amazon is true, but worse. And that is why I voted yes for the strike.
Workers at the only unionized Amazon warehouse are going on strike during the company's busiest season.
Ultimately, Amazon only speaks one language, and that's money. We're going to hit them where it hurts until they decide it's time to come to the table.
Workers with the ALU plan to strike the JFK 8 facility on Staten Island later in December.
We can't wait anymore.
We're not joking around here.
Right now, it is peak season at Amazon. It's Amazon's most profitable time of year.
Well, it's pretty typical of Amazon to call mandatory overtime every holiday season.
They've been asking for us to work 11.5-hour days, 5 days a week.
With the lunch break, it's a 12-hour and 30-minute shift, so you're there majority of the day, majority of the week.
They have no right to demand that of their workers when they could fulfill those same roles with voluntary extra time and surge pay for the workers that want to take it on.
Workers say peak season exacerbates existing safety issues.
It's extremely chaotic, especially at that time. Management is really looking to push numbers. That means cutting a lot of corners, bending the rules, pushing conditions that are unsafe.
I mean, a lot of times the conveyor belts get backed up, so you're packing boxes, but you can't even put them on the conveyor belt. You're forced to build up stacks of boxes around you. There's no room on the floor to walk. Yeah, just safety hazards everywhere.
Despite employing only 36% of warehouse workers in 2022, Amazon was responsible for 53% of all injuries in the warehouse industry.
Amazon is fine to let people die in the wake of tornadoes and any kind of natural disaster for their profits. And we, as Amazon workers, know what we deserve. and we're not going to take it anymore.
Workers at the JFK 8 Amazon warehouse on Staten Island voted to unionize in 2022, but they still don't have a contract.
Amazon is pretending like it never happened.
Their stance is we don't exist.
And they ignore everything from the NLRB.
And right now they're in federal court arguing that unions are unconstitutional.
Amazon is one of the wealthiest companies in the world. They can keep us in court for the rest of time. The only thing that will get them to negotiate a union contract with us is impacting their bottom line.
We've pledged several hundred workers so far to participate, and we're still working and organizing and building up our structure in JFK so we can hopefully mobilize a lot more and really impact reductions this year.
Trying to show Amazon we're fed up, we're done.
A lot of us don't want to go on strike. You know, we want to work, but we want to work for fair wages. We want to work for at least $30 an hour. We want to get adequate breaks so that we're not getting injured all the time. We want to be able to go to the bathroom and drink water without getting written up. And if we have to go on strike to make Amazon come to the table and give us the respect that we deserve, then we're going to do it.
So that was from More Perfect Union. And that is I think that was that's the warehouse that Christian Smalls got to unionize. But like they said there, they got to unionize in that facility, but yet it still hasn't reached Amazon headquarters. It still hasn't reached the offices of Amazon because Amazon itself wants to protest the notion of unionizing that specific warehouse. Even though it won unanimously by the workers, they want to protest that as being unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional that your workforce decided it wanted to unionize. That overwhelming people came in support and voted on their conscience to unionize the workers. They're saying it's unconstitutional. To who? To Amazon. To the billionaire Jeff Bezos, who could easily up the ante and bring on better wages for people, to make it more safer for people. As Christian Smalls talked about, during COVID, they didn't provide any safety measures. And this is the time where we're supposed to tell everybody to be locked down, that you were unsafe to even step outside to talk to anybody, but yet people working in Amazon, they knew they weren't safe. And they're restricted from going to the bathroom. There's delivery drivers that had to pee in bottles. They had to take a dump in bags. There's, just horrendous measures being placed for these workers. So the reason why they're protesting at Christmas, the same way that Canada Post was protesting around this time, is, again, the opportunity to put that leverage so that puts more pressure onto the company heads because they know it's the busiest time. They know that there's going to be a lot of angry customers. So if you want to be angry at the fact that Canada Post or Amazon is not getting your package, then you put the pressure onto the corporate heads to say, hey, you dummies, let's get to the negotiation table, wrap this up, and get these people back to work. But they're not doing that. They're not doing that. And that's why these people are protesting at the busiest time of the year.